Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney. Right before we hit record, I was looking at my notes for tonight's episode because, like, over the course of the week, if I have, like, a topic idea, I just write, like, a couple words into my phone. That way I won't, forget. And I wrote something into my phone, like, a few hours ago, but now I can't remember what I was going to say or what it was about. It just reads, Trump thinking. And
I mean, that is a pretty good joke.
I mean, I don't know what I meant by that. I know I was reading the news about him talking about illegal immigrants and calling them animals and not people when I wrote it, but I can't remember what Trump thinking means. And now it's like I ruined the show.
By the time this episode comes out, Leon, he'll have done like 100 new shitty things, so I wouldn't even worry about it. We could just say, like, obliquely, like, man, that latest scandal, huh? Woof, he really beefed it this time.
It could be that you had a moment of clairvoyance, Leon. Like, perhaps this is some Trump thinking that just hasn't happened yet.
Did I mean, like, what was Trump thinking, or...
That would have been a very foolish thing for you to write, considering there's only really, like, 3 things he ever thinks, and they're all just incoherent screaming.
Damn, what was... I bet it's, like, the punchline to a joke. But I can't even remember the setup to it. I feel, like, super dumb right now. I don't think this specific problem has ever happened. Usually my notes are pretty clear. Maybe it'll, like, work its way around into my brain. You know how, like, you forget something and then, like, 5 minutes later you're like, oh, because something reminds you of it. Or that happens to me anyway. So I don't know. I got nothing at the beginning of the show is what I'm trying to say, because I was not I didn't take good notes. I'm usually great at taking notes. That's like my jam.
Was that the only note that you took this week?
No, but it was the most recent, so I assumed I was going to start with
right.
it.
The ink is still wet. The FBI must have came and stolen all of his thought crimes. Because I saw you write it down, and like, oh, this take is too spicy.
Trump thinking.
We'll never know. Speaking of the government and conspiracies, did you guys see Gillian Anderson absolutely destroying the X-Files producers and so forth?
Yeah,
No.
It is my understanding that the producer, the studio said something like, "We're not going to do the show because blah," and she said, "Well, it's also because you lost 77% of your viewership."
That I did see.
Yeah, I haven't seen the revival episodes of the X-Files. I'm still working my way through the Doggett years right now in the original series, I guess.
Everything I've read
speak...
about the revival basically says that it's just gone ahead and exposed kind of like how ridiculous the X-Files is.
It was always bad, and it's even worse now.
Well, because the thing is back in the 1990s, it was the whole concept of a conspiracy was a lot more plausible because you could keep things secret. You can't do that in this day and age. Like it's damn near impossible to keep anything secret. So the very idea that there are these vast underground intricate webs of conspiracies in these shady parts of our government is just patently ridiculous in 2018.
Yeah. It's also specifically the scope of the conspiracies, because it's always like, the government has the aliens and they're using them for something. Babies? Who knows? It's idiocy. In the real world, every conspiracy is just they want to make more money.
Yep, I was about to say the same thing. Yep, you nailed it. That's basically it.
There's a ton of them. They're all just super boring. They're all just money laundering, bank sanctions, adoption schemes. Like, it's all just people moving paper around.
Yeah.
Which is not good television.
No.
On that note, though, did you guys hear that octopuses are aliens?
I saw that headline and I thought, this has to be clickbait.
What? I don't know about this. What's going on with-
Apparently, there's this this group of 33 scientists got together and published a report called "Cause of Cambrian Explosion: Terrestrial or Cosmic," which was published in the Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology journal, and it stipulates that some 300 million years ago, or like 200 million years ago, or something like that, octopuses arrived as like cryopreserved eggs on a comet, because they're just like they just cannot get around how incredibly complicated the genome for the octopus is. Like they're just like there's nothing like it on Earth. There is no way that these things could possibly have just appeared.
I mean, we should start any conversation about this topic by specifying none of us are biologists, zoologists, taxonomists, or any ists that would be able to solve that. So I just want to get that out there.
Yeah. This is amateur hour.
Okay. With that said, it is weird that they would come from space and then be perfectly acclimatized to our oceans.
Well, like 300 million years is a long time to, for
those oceans, I guess I should have said.
Yeah, for like the laws of nature to bend to the will of an organism. But like that just I don't want to call bullshit, because obviously presumably these people will have done their homework, but that just seems like such an easy way out, like one of the things that always has bothered me about religion is that when people don't know, they just go, I don't know, God?
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to get here, because it does feel like a very, like, oh, well, it's very complicated, therefore magic.
Yeah.
Like, the intelligent design. It's like, I don't know, how could this have happened?
Like it just seems like the same response to like a situation that's like, I don't know, this is kind of weird. Aliens, I guess?
It's like the very anti-intellectual thing you hear in like freshman English classes, where the teacher's like, what do you think this symbolizes? And the kids are like, it doesn't mean anything, it's just a story. It's like,
yeah,
just
I have to deal with that on a pretty
about
regular basis.
Yeah, oh my god, Leon, I don't know how you do any videos on the shit you do. I would have lost my mind so long ago.
Yeah.
People, there's nothing political about Starship Troopers. Literal nonsense. That kind of comment.
But
anyway,
yeah, like, I mean, but that's the space news for this week. Is that
Cool.
Octopuses are aliens.
I mean, if anything on Earth was secretly an alien, I would think it would either be octopuses or Ted Cruz. So, 50-50,
Well, that doesn't mean that they're still not both.
That's true.
I don't think there's been a lot of grant money put towards trying to determine Ted Cruz's lineage, because I honestly don't think that anybody could be around him long enough to actually get enough data.
Yeah, it's some kind of pheromone he secretes, which drives people away.
It's a natural defense mechanism, is what it is.
Terrifying. Did you guys have other things to talk about this week? I made some poor entertainment decisions that I'm excited to share.
Oh yeah.
I just want to say one thing really quickly.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about my comments, and I just wanted to share one with you that just happened this very moment.
Oh Christ.
And I'm going to leave it alone after that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having one of those I can't remember what it's called, Poe moments, where you're not sure like if this is satire or not, or whether or not you think someone is serious. It's very difficult on the internet when like the most preposterous like thing that you assume cannot be true, cannot be like sincere, is. So I just want to read it to you right now. It's in that one where I like, instead of being like all philosophy, I decided to be all movie on one episode where I did like the 20 best films of like the last 10 years or something. Not the kind of video I ever want to do again. This is the most recent comment under it. What the fuck? Your best films are all foreign and about violence, murder, and other boring shit. Have you never seen Mary Poppins, you fucking spaz?
What?
I don't know.
Someone's very passionate about Mary Poppins. Not where I thought that was going to go. I honestly thought it was just going to be xenophobia all the way down.
Yeah, I right. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, is this guy, like, is this performance art? Because that's, like,
my brain is building this caricature of this super bro who also just really loves Mary Poppins. Come on, Gaylord, why don't you just watch Mary Poppins?
The guy's name is Crocodile Soup, and I can't really tell much about his avatar. Is like blurry, so I can't tell much about him. Like sometimes I get performance art comments, like tweets that are in fact like satirical, and they're good. Like someone tweeted me. I mentioned the new Star Wars movie Solo, and a lot of people who do not follow me, who I guess were just searching for that term to discuss it, started responding to me, and a lot of them were like crying about like, oh, this is raping my childhood. One of them gave me a great, and some of the comments were like, this doesn't respect the fans.
The movie's not out yet. How could they know?
Yeah, whatever. It's like I know, but I think some people just
it doesn't matter. I guess is the answer.
Yeah, that you're true. That is the real answer. But this is my favorite. Definitely not serious and performance art tweet about this that responded to me. I refuse to give money to this series. So far, they have yet to come to my house, pull down my pants, and give you the most succulent and exquisite blowjob in the galaxy. Obviously, that means they hate the fans. How could they treat us like this? Question mark, exclamation point, question mark. So that was like strong thumbs up to that guy.
If anything, I don't think the people who make Star Wars hate their fans enough. I think they need to crank it up.
Yeah, my feeling is like the studio is not a one person. It's like an amalgamation of a bunch of different people, and also just like a lot of people who are invested in it, who it's just a money thing. And you know, that's the thing. The studio doesn't. The studio has never respected you. They want your money, and that's fine. I accept that. That's our relationship. They want my money, and I will give some of it to them. That's the deal we've made with each other. It's okay. You don't know me, so why would you respect me? I don't know you either. I don't know Kathleen Kennedy. We're not besties. I don't follow her on Instagram. I don't care. So it's whatever. I just wanted to share that real quick because I completely botched my Trump thinking thing earlier, so I didn't have as much this week. Austin, if you want to talk about your apparently bad media choices, like hit us with it, I guess.
I did something truly inexplicable this week, which was I played a video game called Knack.
Oh yeah, Knack.
Nobody should ever have to do. Context.
Wasn't that what's his name's like pet project?
Mark Cerny,
yeah.
The guy who designed the PlayStation 4. He worked on the original Crash Bandicoot. He is a titan of industry, just the guy in Sony.
And I guess we all drop the ball sometimes.
Well, going into the PlayStation 4, they needed a launch game, first party, that kind of represented their brand, kind of their Mario, if you will, something family friendly. Because the other launch title was, I think, Killzone Shadowfall, which is, I mean, it actually isn't. It's not as edgy as it sounds. It's just.
I'm sorry. That sounds like the name of a video game that I would make up.
I know.
To dunk on video games. Oh my.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard shoot 'em, bang bang game. It's very pretty, actually, that game, but they needed something a little bit more friendly. You can't get over it.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's just a very good name. The only other most video game name would be like if it were called Blood Gun, the Bullets.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guy.
The closest thing is Bulletstorm, which is a comedy.
That I actually played Bulletstorm and it was funny.
Yeah. So Knack, Knack, is a family-friendly platformer starring like this little guy. He's made out of, it looks like wood, but he's actually a bunch of different pieces which are held together by like magic. And the like gimmick of the game is you collect more and he gets bigger. Kind of, he becomes this amalgamation of floating bits and bobs. And it's kind of a different scales gimmick. So sometimes you're like Godzilla size fighting giant robots, and sometimes you're like knee high fighting little goblins. On paper, there's nothing wrong with it. That's the thing about it. It is so profoundly vanilla. It is like someone described video games to aliens and like, can you replicate this human art from just only a description? Like, it's visual and there are sounds and you control it. Sometimes people jump. Like, it is the least interesting thing I've ever interacted with. I wish it was bad in at least one way, because it's not like, it's not buggy. It doesn't have like any kind of like frame rate problems. Like, there's nothing like super racist in it accidentally. It's just the 5 out of 10est fucking game ever. It's weirdly hard, but not like harder than like Crash Bandicoot was back in the day. People forget those games are actually really tough. I mean, even like Super Mario Brothers, right? Like, go back, like those games are hard by today's standards. This game is more like that. But I mean, if you want your kids to play, you can put it on easy. It's so nothing that it became infuriating. I was playing it, and every level is just like you're in a cave and there are little goblins and they're just like going after you, and then you punch them and it's just nothing. And I don't know, people spent, like, hundreds of people worked in this game, each of them spending like 60-hour weeks, 70-hour weeks. They missed birthdays, they missed their like family picnics, they missed births. Like, they put their heart and soul into this, and it's nothing. Do you ever just think about how many movies go unwatched, how many like games go unplayed, music goes unlistened to, and all these people putting all their love and effort into stuff, it's not good? It's heartbreaking. That's what this game set me down in this spiral. Was just like, why does this exist? And what was the human cost of creating it? It's depressing. And the worst part is there's a sequel. Which I might
someone must have liked it, I guess.
I mean, it only really sold well because it was one of 2 games that were out when the PlayStation 4 launched, which is kind of like a cheat code for sales. And
if you didn't want Bloodwell the Stabbening, then it had to be Knack.
There's a couple other weird things about it. Like, it's trying to go for like a Pixar presentation, so there's all these like really clean 3D model characters with like exaggerated personalities. There's like, I'm the scheming bad guy, and I'm the big chin hero, and I'm the weird scientist, and then none of them fucking matter at all. Like, there's no, like, it tries to have a story. It's like, the goblins are attacking, we must stop the goblins, and then the goblins stop mattering halfway through, and it's like, the bad guy wants an evil thing, and then he gets it, and it kills him, and then they punch the evil thing and it goes away, and then Knack there's a parade for Knack. That's the story.
Cool. Good for him.
But it's so, it gestures towards trying to have story in the most awkward ways. There's a part where the goblin says to Knack, like, so you just do what all the other people tell you, you don't ever think for yourself. And Knack's like, well, first of all, Knack goes, yeah, pretty much, and then it's never brought up again. They never address his lack of agency ever. It doesn't become a thing. I don't know why they brought it up. Second of all, you see Knack, and he's this little cute, like, wooden mascot character. It's like, oh, what if Crash Bandicoot and Sonic the Hedgehog fucked, and then they, like, wood varnished it. That's what's going on with Knack. You think he has a cute little voice, like, chili dogs, I'm Knack. But he has this fucking deep-ass voice. He's like, yo, what's up, I'm Knack. And he has, like, 10 lines of dialogue. It's so fucking weird. I'm sorry I keep going on about this game because it's the least interesting thing that's ever happened, but its sheer mediocrity has damaged me in some sort of way. Because it just gets me thinking about all of the games like it. Like, there are tens of thousands of games, and most of them don't matter, and that's such a bummer. Video games are so hard to make. Knack.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not worth it.
Leon, you scamp.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a part where someone says something about like, well, the goblins hate us because of the Crystal Wars, and it's like, wait, what? Are you about to have some lore? And no, they never bring that up again. It's like, wait, is there some sort of blood feud based on like resource stuff that turned into goblin racism? And then I don't know, man. It's the weirdest fucking thing. There's also like a kung fu lady who Knack just straight up tries to punch into lava. He tries to do a murder on a human woman, and no one ever calls him out on it, ever. Can you imagine if Crash Bandicoot stabbed someone? What if the first Crash Bandicoot ended with him stabbing Dr. Cortex or whatever? He just fucking ganks him and then turns to the camera. He's like, that's what you get. Don't fuck with the Bandicoot, motherfucker. What? Oh, fuck, I'm so tired. Somebody else talk.
Okay.
I can tell Leon's not amused, but I'm at that level of tired where everything's really fucking funny.
No, that's good. I'm glad.
Well, I'm gonna look up Crash Bandicoot Edgy. Hold on.
Okay.
Someone else can go. Edgy.
All right. I mean, I have other stuff, but I feel like I had my shot and I blew it. Johnny, do you have a thing?
I guess I do. It's kind of a downer.
Yeah.
I was really upset last week. Scott Hutchison. That I don't think we've ever talked about Scott Hutchison's band on Word Funk before. But Scott Hutchison is a Scottish musician, most famous for, although he has like a couple of other side projects and things like that, most famous for a band called Frightened Rabbit. And he killed himself last week. He jumped off the Forth Bridge in Scotland, and they found his body in the quayside. And that really bummed me out. Like it is difficult for me to overstate how important the Scottish indie music scene was to me when I was like in my 20s and things like that. Like it seemed like almost everything that I heard coming out of Scotland when I was in my early 20s was just amazing stuff, like Bell and Sebastian, Arab Strap, Mogwai, Idlewild, Boards of Canada. There's the Beta Band. There's gotta be some that I'm missing, but I didn't come into Frightened Rabbit until I was around 30 years old or something like that. And Scott Hutchison's the lead singer, and just like for his whole career, he'd been so very honest about his trouble with depression and anxiety, and just he wore his heart on his sleeve, really, and he just wrote some absolutely gut-wrenching songs. In fact, and his last album was co-produced by I think Aaron Dessner of The National. There's if you like The National, you'll probably like Frightened Rabbit. I encourage everybody to check his stuff out. But yeah, I was so bummed out that he passed on. Like it gets to me, when people who speak to me or whose art has spoken to me in the past check out like that. Like that just it really, really gets to me.
Yeah, I haven't been like a super deep connoisseur of their discography, but they come up when I listen to like the national radio on various like streaming sites. So like I hear like their biggest songs, and obviously they're extremely good. And going back and listening to some of their stuff this week, because Johnny put some tracks in the chat before we started recording, and listening to them, it reminded me a lot of listening to, first of all, just very, very good music, but also it reminded me of listening to Black Star after David Bowie passed, where it's like, oh, this is like you're just listening to someone contemplate their death. Like a lot of the stuff is about dying, and it's like apparently before he killed himself, he like tweeted out like basically a suicide note. Like this was someone who had spent a lot of time thinking about this, and it's like really difficult emotionally.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. So I spent some time earlier going through some of their stuff, and it was just like, well, I'm just going to spend this Wednesday teetering on the edge of crying. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Back when I would actually listen to music, the Frightened Rabbit album, The Midnight Organ Fight, was one of my favorites. I really like that album. I told Johnny about this earlier, that the line, while I'm alive, I'll make tiny changes to the earth, is kind of like a mantra of mine, so I really like them. This, roundly sucks.
Yeah. I was just like, I was really gutted by it. And I wouldn't even describe myself as being like the biggest Frightened Rabbit fan, but like they were one of those musical acts that were kind of like always there for me when I needed it, and I guess I just took it for granted that they were gonna always be around and like always make new stuff. Yeah, so it's just like, I mean, Austin mentions David Bowie. It's funny, every few months, every like 3 or 4 months, I have these like brief moments where I realize that we're not going to get any new David Bowie music.
Yeah.
And it just like, for a brief moment, I just go, oh, fuck. So. Yeah.
I just, the Flaming Lips are putting out a compilation of like their greatest hits or something, and I saw a track list earlier today. They have a song called David Bowie's Dying ? And it was way before he died when they put that song out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, well, now I'm gonna have to feel this for a while. It's just, yeah.
So yeah. Sorry to bring everybody down like that. But
that's all right.
I feel like more people should know about Frightened Rabbit's music and should check them out if you get a chance. So
yeah, there's not much you can say in the wake of something so horrible, but his entire career is basically about trying to make the world better and kinder. And it's like, if you can take anything, I think he'd want you to take that.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are other stuff. Leon, did you remember what your note meant?
No, I still haven't. But I do have
other stuff though. So.
Oh yeah, I actually have another thing. So, did you know that there is a pro-gun dating website?
If you had asked me, I would have said that has to be a thing, but I didn't know it.
Yeah, yeah. I looked it up, and I looked it up, and a website linked me to it, and this is the one that it linked me to. A woman started it because she's just really into guns, and she really wanted. I guess this was like her way to meet people or get other people to meet people. Let me show you this one. That's progundating.com. And it's fairly, it doesn't look too weird. You go there and there's a woman and a guy, and they're wearing like the ear protectors.
Hey,
for when you're
it's
at the firing
low-rent
range.
Jason Bateman.
Sure.
That's creepy. He does look exactly like Jason Bateman. What the fuck?
A little bit. But here's the thing. This article just popped up on my feed, and through the article I found that website. But guess what? This is not the only pro-gun website. There's another one, and it's significantly better on the eyes for reasons. It's called Data Gun Lover, and instead of it being two smiling people, who just happen to be interested in guns, maybe there's a lot more to them. DataGunLover.com is just a blonde woman pointing a revolver right at my face when I get to the website, and standing right behind her, perhaps afraid, is some Logan Paul looking motherfucker who's just like, this is the interactive podcast portion. You have to go to datagunlover.com in order to see this guy.
I gotta say, I don't think it's worth it, because I have to live with the fact that I gave them web traffic, and that's hard on me emotionally.
The thing is that even if I was really into guns, I'm not sure I would go to Data Gun Lover, because the first thing that the first rule of gun safety is you don't point a gun at someone unless you're ready to shoot them, even an unloaded gun. So right there, this gun lover is demonstrating to me that they're very cavalier about their gun safety rules.
Yeah, that triggered discipline of not shooting people through the internet. What? Anyway.
Yeah, there's also one of the first lessons you learn when holding a gun, because I have, is that you always keep your finger off the trigger. You're not you don't walk around with your finger on a trigger, even if you are 100% sure that the gun is unloaded. It's just a thing you don't do. So she is ready to shoot someone or something. And it just happens to be me, because I am the one who loaded up the website.
It makes me feel very uncomfortable.
A little bit.
We joke. Okay, so there's a couple layers to this. One is, it's not a bad idea if you have a very specific relationship need to only focus on that group. I'm not going to hold that against people. And also, if your thing is particularly toxic, you might want to just get that out of the way. Whatever, more power to you. Second thing, this website is quite a thing. I'm on the first one. Under the picture of Jason Bateman's cousin, Jason Jateman, there is a slogan. It says, "Don't date a hog, HOGG, date a real American," referencing Hogg, the high school student who survived the shooting massacre and therefore thinks maybe legislation should be passed to prevent that from happening again. So this is a teenage boy that survived a terrible tragedy, watched his friends die all around him, and this dating site is using him to advertise don't be like that person, be a real American. And I gotta say, between the two, I don't think the real American comes out seeming like the good guy in that comparison.
Yeah, but Austin, don't you want to enjoy your American rights as a couple?
So I'm not the first one to make this to make this observation, but there's something about David Hogg in specific that seems to have broken conservatives. I don't know what. There's been a lot of teenagers who have survived gun massacres. Tragically, there's actually tons of them.
Well, yeah.
But something about, I guess maybe it's just because he has a social media following and he gets on TV and stuff. There are just an indescribable amount of frothing mad folk on the internet who just cannot stand him and are constantly tweeting the most absurd, evil shit at him constantly.
It really makes you wonder who the snowflake really is.
My God.
It's just I don't know. I don't want to go down too dark a path for your jokes on this website or whatever, but I saw that. It's okay, what if you want to date somebody with your politics, whatever, go with God. I don't care. But using that line, that's the second thing you see on the site under that picture of Jason Jateman is that don't be a hog. This is a real kid who disagrees with you. Can we chill? Can we just chill?
Yeah. God. I have fired a gun many times, in fact, and I had, and this is true, a certificate from the Boy Scouts that proving that I was good at it. That was a thing I did during a camping retreat. We had a lot of things we could do, and one of the least terrible things for me to do was to shoot guns.
Which, I mean, let's be honest, says something about the Boy Scout and the quality of their retreats.
The Boy Scouts
Sure.
is a fucking quagmire. Not only are they
Yeah.
in the news recently for a bunch of garbage, I had to study some Boy Scouts cases in law school because, gosh dang, they just do not like anybody but straight white boys. And they're just going to take every single lawsuit under the sun, gender, orientation, age, doesn't matter. They're going to fucking tooth and nail their way into the 21st century.
Yeah. Oh well. Just to recap though, while I did and was reasonably good at shooting guns, I didn't have any political feelings about it at the time. I mean, I would say that even as a teenager or early teenager, I still leaned pretty far to the left. But that wasn't like a thing I thought about as much because I'm pretty sure this was all pre-Columbine. And I wasn't thinking that much about the implications of that. But yeah.
The idea of gun rights as a political thing is actually pretty recent. It was like the last 20 or 30 years. Like the idea of it being
What?
So this is actually a weird topic. I want to do more research before I try to speak to it authoritatively. But the idea of like, the fragile libs hate guns and the conservatives are trying to defend our freedoms with the good American guns. Like, obviously, military power is political and violence is political, but it being a distinct, like, partisan issue that people are extremely tied to in their identity is relatively recent. There's a really interesting story behind, for example, the NRA, which started as like just a normal club for enthusiasts of hunting or whatever, and then was basically taken over in a coup by people who, like, this at a certain level, this sounds like conspiracy stuff, but basically people with money interests that now it's a powerful lobbying group. It's extremely lucrative to make things political and then get donations. You know what I'm saying? Like, liking guns does not make your bank account bigger. Liking guns and it being an issue that people are scared and willing to donate money for that's much better for you. So, like, the way it's evolved, I would say. It's more complicated. I'm not doing it justice, but if you go back like 50 years, it wouldn't be considered a political issue in the same way it is now. Maybe it should have been, because the idea that we're all just carrying around automatic weapons is objectively banana cakes. But it's this whole thing where it's like only a real American has a gun, and if you don't have a gun, you're just a little pussy and you're just trying to get everybody killed or whatever. It's like I don't. Like I said, there's a certain point where, this is all just psychosis. This is all deep, probably sexual psychosis. These people feel inadequate. They're very angry at the teenage boy who didn't die. I don't know what. Yeah, I am not a psychologist, but I highly recommend researching that. Maybe I'll do it and I'll bring it next episode because I know our listeners would prefer I do that for them. But I've looked into it a little bit, and I think it's really interesting, both the history of the NRA, which you speak about like a big evil organization, which it kind of is, but it wasn't always like that. And if it sounds weird that it is, like, yes, it is super weird, and there's a reason for that. But out of my area of expertise at this moment, so.
Okay. I do want to say real quickly, although gun ownership is, as you mentioned, a partisan issue, it's not like 50% of the country owns guns and the other 50% does not. I just looked it up real quickly, and less than a third of the country owns guns.
Yeah, but
they own a lot of guns.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, but that's the thing. But there's still one gun for every American because some people own a lot of them.
Yeah, because for some people, like gamer, it's become something that is like, it's not just something you do, it's something you are, and it's become a terrifying obsession. The main difference is you cannot kill many people with video games quickly. But
You have to throw them really hard.
but the underlying psychology, I fear, is pretty similar. Not exact, but there's a lot going on there. Anyway.
I don't get that, Like that is the thing. Like there's a whole bunch of subcultures that seem that the activity that you do is so intrinsically tied up in your identity. Like even if I was into guns, right? I do not think I would ever join a dating website that's like just for people who love guns. Like that just there's something obsessive about that. And I don't know if it's people struggling so hard to like invent their own identity that they just like pick the one thing and be like, this is me now. But like I've never been able to understand that mindset, Like I am a way more interesting person than just what I decide to do in my spare time.
I would like to think so.
If I played tennis, or like maybe I was a really good cross stitcher, or like I was a carpenter, like I made my own furniture or something like that. I just I can't understand the desire to like make that you, as opposed to it just being something you like to do.
I know I sound like a broken record, but at the end of the day, a lot of this comes down to money, because in video games, publishers made being a gamer part of people's core identity, because it was a marketing technique to being like, oh, you need to buy our game, you're a real gamer. And same thing with guns, you have to be a real American, you need to buy guns. I have this pulled up now because I'm multitasking like a unprofessional douchebag, but in 1975, the NRA established the Institute for Legislative Action, their lobbying branch. This is the kind of thing I was referring to before, where they kind of changed their mission. This actually did impact their membership. A lot of people were like, I just like hunting deer, and left. But the people who remained became what Fortune magazine called the most powerful lobbying organization 3 years in a row. They literally just decided to become the money that controls Washington, and they were extremely successful because they sell you this identity. It really does come down to money, which is something I say every week, and it's the boring truth behind almost every conversation we have. If it wasn't profitable, none of this would exist. So,
yeah.
Oops.
Yep. Oops. Trump
thinking. What is he thinking about? I have some other music stuff real quick. I don't know how much you guys want to get in on this, but their new albums for first of all, Arctic Monkeys. Either of you guys into them?
Never got into them.
I'm not into anything.
I mean,
that's not true.
I can appreciate them, but I just like they never grabbed me, man. Like we were never in the same hotel lobby, and we're like, oh hey.
Before I transition, talk about that real quick. Were you ever into Franz Ferdinand? That was in the same kind of sphere, and also Scottish.
And also Scottish, yeah.
Yeah, that's in your sphere, I was thinking. So yeah, Arctic Monkeys came out to like rave reviews and stuff for their first album. They were like considered like the biggest thing in rock music when rock music mattered. It doesn't anymore. And then they kind of were in the background for many years, and then they came back with this album called AM, which fucking owns, and they deservedly were like recrowned like, the most important rock band in the world. And then they just released a new album, which is extraordinarily baffling. I don't know if it's bad. It's not. If I was paid to write a review of their new album, it would be one word, and that word would be piano? With a bunch of question marks. The album's called Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, and it's kind of a concept album about this hotel and casino, and like from the perspective of like characters in it. And It's like all the other stuff is like garage rock, very hard guitars, people talking about getting drunk in London and like all the groupie girls. It's rock. That's their appeal. This is almost all piano, all very weird. Like I'm reading right now, it's described as lounge pop, space pop with jazz influences. It's just extremely weird. And it's like there's not a single riff. There's no hooks. Like, what Arctic Monkeys is like the last band with good riffs and good hooks. What are they? I don't. It's the most weird decision I've seen in music, and like people are gonna look back on this as like a really interesting career choice. Right now, I just think everyone's too confused to know what to do. It is extremely fascinating, but also rock isn't really relevant anymore, right? Like there aren't any rock stars to speak of. Like the 2 or 3 albums that chart are like people who make music for commercials. Like I'm not trying to be mean, but like Imagine Dragons and like Portugal the Man are not selling out stadiums and, you know, throwing their mattress out their hotel window. They're just like dads. It's fine, but so it's just an extraordinarily strange album. I listened to the whole thing and then I could not recall a lyric or tune in the entire thing. Like I didn't.
Ooh, that's rough.
I didn't dislike it. It's not bad. It's just someone playing piano and talking about their feelings. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Anyway, they have some really good shit. AM is a phenomenal album. They have great singles. Their new thing is weird. Anyway, the other band I want to talk about was Beach House, who has a new album. Do either of you listen to Beach House?
No.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I would think if anybody did, it would be you, Leon, because in addition to being close to what I think of as your aesthetic, they are from Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
They're
I'll look them up right now.
Okay. Beach House is what is called a dream pop band, which is electronic. It's less pop than that name implies. They're about creating like soundscapes.
Ooh, that actually is my thing. Now.
Yeah, no, it's like teetering on vaporwave.
That's all I listen to all day.
Yeah.
Today, that's all. I mean, I drove around a lot today, and all I was listening to was that.
But they actually do have like memorable tunes. Like Kendrick Lamar sampled Beach House in Money Trees off Good Kid, Mad City, one of the most important hip hop albums of like the last 2 decades. Like they got the beats too. Like they're extremely good. Their new album is reviewing great, like 8s and 9s from everyone loves it. All their albums do. I don't think they have any bad albums. Their Beach House is extremely good, but it's also dream pop, which is like a thing most people don't even know exists. So like, I don't know. I like them, but I never like set out to listen to them. It's like a thing where it's like, I'm doing something in the background and the algorithm decides it's Beach House time. Like, oh, cool, I'm into it. And but like I never like, you know what mood I'm in? I think maybe Leon might be more of a Beach House person, but
yeah, I'm gonna have to put that look that up on my Spotify.
I would. I think if anybody would dig them, it'd be you. I mean, they are incredibly critically acclaimed. Like anybody who listens to them loves them, but I just think they're niche. Anyway, that's Austin's Music Minute. I think there's probably other things, but I've talked for a while. My voice hurts. Ooh, okay. Trump thinking?
Yeah,
Trump thinking.
It's really gonna bother me. Oh well, there's nothing I can do. It's not coming around like I thought it would. Like something would trigger in my brain. It would be like, oh, that's what I meant. It's just not going to. So that's just something I have to live with forever. Does anyone have anything else? Because like, damn, like I got so little else. I mean, I did watch some movies.
Oh, there's a new Ockerville River album.
Yeah. I haven't listened to it yet.
Me neither.
I'm not really.
Yeah.
I kind of have this thing because like almost invariably, you know, music that you get into at a certain point in your life is going to diverge from like the way you were living your life and what they're doing artistically, you know. So like I was really, really into Ockerville River in like my mid-20s and like my mid to late 20s and early 30s and stuff like that. And then like the last two albums I got were good, but they just seem to be like going off in a direction that my life is not. Like I don't feel it as closely as I used to. And when that happens for like two albums in a row, I usually kind of cool off. And I'm sort of feeling that right now, you know? Like I heard one single off of it and I quite liked it. Famous Tracheotomies, I think it was called.
Good name.
Just like a superb song too. But it was not enough for me to like, I don't know, you know, like I'm not thirsty for it.
I had a similar feeling recently when A Perfect Circle released a new album, and I realized I didn't actually care what Maynard James Keenan was doing anymore. I think it might be because he's not a great human being, but like there was a time when I was so thirsty for more Tool.
Yeah.
Don't take that clip out of context. or do whatever. We're all adults. But yeah, like he's back after like all these years, and I don't care.
Yeah. So I'm kind of getting a little bit of that right now with the new Ockerville River album. I may still pick it up. I may check it out, you know. But right now I'm just like, I've got a few things that I've been listening to lately, and like Nico Case's new album is going to be coming out soon too. So hell on.
All right, are you guys ready for questions?
Yep.
I just want to very briefly say, like, this is like, I wonder if anyone gives a shit.
That's how I feel every time I open my mouth.
It's not exciting. It's just I'm happy about it. I started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine like 2 days ago.
Just from the very beginning, like you'd never seen it before.
Yep. No, I never seen it before.
How?
Oh wait, that's not entirely true. I did watch the pilot with a friend of mine. She wanted to, and then I just never bothered to go back into it.
Leon, you ask if
good.
anybody gives a shit. We got a question this week. Decibel asks, thoughts on Brooklyn Nine-Nine and the cancellation, uncancellation thereof? So we're in questions. We're in questions.
It's good. That's fine. We can do that. It's good. Gina is my favorite character. She's great and funny. I like everyone on the show. Like, there's no character that's like, when they're on, I'm like, ugh, this is a Joey heavy episode. You know, that kind of, you know, that sort of thing. But no, like, everyone's good, and I enjoy them, and they have great chemistry together. I mentioned on the Twitter machine that like my only gripe with the show is that it's weird. You know, in this political climate, to be watching a show where all the cops are portrayed as good and fun, whereas cops are actually just dangerous. And, you know, that's my only gripe, though. And I do hear that the show gets, like, relatively woke later on, and that's cool, and I'm looking forward to that. Apparently, it's very responsible in how it approaches a lot of things. That's what I hear. Haven't experienced much of it yet. But yeah, that's cool. I said this, and after mentioning this, someone on my Twitter says, "Oh, so if someone was breaking into your house, you wouldn't call the police?" And I was like, I don't have time to deal with you. And I decided not to reply to this person at first. And then someone else replied to this person and says, the last time I called the cops, they shot a woman. And then I responded to that, and I said, asked and answered by someone else. And then he... I said, asked and answered by someone else. Please don't do this again. Because like I don't like that kind of like hyperbolic, like I'm talking about something else, but you're trying to make me sound like I'm saying something else kind of shit.
That's not even a good like non sequitur. Like gotcha.
Yeah, it's not. It's like when someone says, "Wow, there's corruption in the government," and then someone says, "Oh, well, I guess we just shouldn't have laws." I'm like, dude, that's not fucking
Yeah,
saying.
if Leon says, if Leon says cops are kind of problematic, a good response to this, if you're trying to be a dick, would be like, cops actually work really hard to feed their families and protect our communities. Something like that. If you go right to the shootings and stuff, it's just, you're obviously in bad faith. You gotta make it seem.
Yeah. It's not good. He responded. I made it clear that I was done talking to him now. He responded anyway and says, no, it was just a genuine question because don't fucking. No, it wasn't. You don't. He absolutely wasn't. It was hyperbolic and sarcastic. It's not a legitimate question. Yeah, I know what you were doing. I'm sorry. I woke up earlier than you this morning. Shut up.
I resent that anytime someone talks to me on the internet, I have to check to see if they're a Nazi before I respond. Because sometimes people are like, sometimes people on the internet are just 12 and they don't know shit, and that's fine. I didn't know shit when I was 12, but like sometimes you're a Nazi and I can't tell the difference at first.
This particular person, I've been wary of him for a little while. I started looking into my mentions again, and I know that's a bad idea, but I did anyway. A couple weeks ago, someone tried to say the N-word in my comment section, and of course I did not let that comment go through. And I said something on Twitter. I'm like, don't come into my comment section and try to, spout the N-word. It's not going to go through, and I'm going to, block you so I never have to see you. Don't. And this same person who we're talking about now, responded, what, never? We can never say that? I mean, it's your place, it's your comment section, but I don't think that's right. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? This guy. Anyway, back to our
there is literally no atrocity going on in the world that white people think is worse than them not being able to say the N-word. It is the ultimate tragedy in their eyes. I don't know what our culture has done to people's brains, but that some people are willing to pick that hill to die on is terrifying.
But what if, the only way I could save a child's life?
What if a terrorist has a bomb and it goes off unless I say the N-word?
It's like, shut the hell up.
I know. It's just I'm sorry. Eventually, I feel like I made it clear to this guy a couple different times that I don't want him to keep adding me, and then he did anyway. Because he wanted to have the last word on something. And it sure was the last word because I blocked him afterwards. So you won, dude. You won. You got the last word. I'm never going to hear from you again. Oh, well. God damn.
It's just not.
I 99% of the people, I really do, I'm so appreciative of my audience. They're just really cool people. And I honestly found a really great audience, and they're so cool. But but there's always going to be one, There's always going to be the one guy who just really desperately wants to say the N-word. It's like, what is your problem? Why are you following me? Anyway, I'm sorry. I screwed off topic.
Leon, I think there has to be a part of the person who thinks that they're doing the motherfucking Kanye thing. I'm just being a free thinker, man. I'm just asking the questions. Why not?
Yeah.
Why can't it? What's going to hurt anybody? We're all just doing this thing together, man. It has to come from some place where they think they're in the right. Because that's how I have to tell myself that to get through the day. I think is maybe where that sentence is going.
No, that's fair. That's fair. By the way, back to the topic. Brooklyn NineNine sure is a good show.
Yep.
It's funny and I enjoy it, and that's it. I'm glad to see Andre Braugher in something because I was a real big fan of Homicide: Life on the Street, which he was in. I haven't seen him in all that much afterwards, even though he's obviously getting consistent work since then. But yeah, he's cool in it, and everyone's great in it, and it's good. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it.
Yes. Yeah, I watch it regularly.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Now, I don't follow Kanye, but I said that, so now I have to check in to see if he's said anything awful recently. Hold on.
Uh-oh. Here we go. This is our Kanye Corner. Corner spelled with a K. Huh?
No.
Yeah.
Oh God, he's talking to Justin Roiland now. Stop. Oh God. No.
He's a very big fan of Rick and Morty. I rest my case.
I looked directly at it with my eyes, and now I've burned away my corneas. Someone else.
There you go. Next topic, I guess.
All right.
Or a question.
Yeah. Let's get some more Leon in this episode. Cyretha asks, Leon, which of the current titles in the WWE is your fave? Parentheses. Johnny, you want to do it?
Wrestling!
I hear they have belts. Tell me about the belts.
I would have to say the Intercontinental Championship because it's at least right now it's sort of like the good wrestlers championship, whereas the Universal basically there's two brands. We're getting deep into this shit now. There's two brands. The top title on Raw is called the Universal Championship, but it's barely on the show because it's held by Brock Lesnar, a guy who only shows up at most once a month. So their big top champion is just not on the show. But they want him to have the belt because he's one of their biggest stars, or perhaps their biggest star. Their most people know who he is who don't watch wrestling star, I guess you could say. And it's bad that he has this belt. He has a new contract and it's like ridiculous. But I don't want to get into that. This is about belts. And on the SmackDown side, they have the WWE Championship, and a very good worker who shows up every single week named AJ Styles has it. And he is good too. But the belt I like the most is the Intercontinental Championship, held by Seth Rollins, because every week he has a really good match on television where he defends the title. And he's just a very good boy,
Leon,
and I appreciate his work.
What makes it an intercontinental belt?
Okay, look. Okay, so a very long time ago, they decided to have another belt, and then they pretended that there was a tournament to crown them, and it allegedly happened in Rio de Janeiro. It did not. It never happened. And they just gave the belt to Pat Patterson. Apparently, the Intercontinental title means the two continents that are together, the Americas, I guess. It's not explicitly stated. It's just called the Intercontinental title.
So sort of like a World Series.
Can I be real with
I
you,
don't
Leon?
know. It doesn't.
I did a lot of research for this recent season of Dice Funk because we had a wrestling arc because one of my players wanted to be a wrestler. While I like a lot of things I've learned, obviously not the political stuff, one of the things that most bothers me about wrestling is their title structure, which seems like fucking gibberish. It's extraordinarily bad, both as a simulacrum of sports, in that we're supposed to believe it, and even as a dramatic device, because they don't seem valuable. Like, if there's something you want to earn, they need weight, and it has to mean something, and they just like change and merge, and people are constantly stealing them and winning them with briefcases and stuff.
Oh yeah. The briefcase wins are great.
Just from a writing standpoint, it seems like a disaster that they've boxed themselves into.
Yeah, a long time ago, there was the WWE Championship, and there was the Intercontinental Championship, and sometimes there was the Women's Championship, but sometimes not. And then there was the Tag Team Championship. But here's the thing. There's two brands now. Well, there's really three brands. Well, there's really four brands now, and they all have they all have their titles, and they all have to have these people working towards something, so they have all these championships, and some of it doesn't make sense. Like the Intercontinental title, like I said, I think that's supposed to mean like these continents. The one we're on and the one just south of us. But there's also, just recently introduced, the North American Championship. Does the Intercontinental Champion have sovereignty over the North American Championship? Or what? It doesn't really make sense. Nobody knows. It's all Calvin Ball. We just watch it and it's fun, and that's the real answer to all of this. But I like the Intercontinental Championship. Right before Seth Rollins held it, The Miz held it for a real long time, and he would talk it up and about how important this championship is, because that's what you're supposed to do and make it seem important. And I would say that he did a good job of that, and people actually do care about this one championship. And I guess a little less so about the allegedly top title on Raw, which is the Universal Championship, since the Universal Champion doesn't show up.
What does that mean?
That is, he doesn't show up because he has a part-time wrestler contract, but WWE loves him so much that they put the top title on him for a year now, over a year now. So once a month he shows up to wrestle on pay-per-view, except he isn't this month. Because he doesn't want to, and he got a contract that's really, really good. If every time he shows up on Monday Night Raw to stand there and do nothing while his manager talks for him, he gets $100,000. Every time he wrestles a match, which is only on pay-per-view, he gets $500,000. So WWE is like, we want you around, but it's also expensive to have you around. So what are we going to do about it? And it's like complete bonkers. I don't like it. It's like if you don't have like a world champion who's there every week, it's like having a television series where the main character is only in every 5th episode, but the main character is the one that's supposed to be driving all the storylines. It's not good. And people don't like it. That's why I like Seth Rollins, because he'll just show up and perform really well every week.
I don't even follow wrestling. I've seen like 2 or 3 different, what are they called? Like shows. Like I watched it, and even I'm mad about fucking Brock Lesnar.
He is an asshole.
It's so bad.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. And not just because he has literally no respect for the business, because whatever, it's a job. But also just like as a person, he's bad. Yeah. He's not he says a lot of like gross, horrible shit.
He is proudly homophobic.
He is. He's so proud of it. It's something else.
He's just free thinking, man. He's just not letting people control his mind space or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so another question, please.
Yeah.
I feel like I've dominated too much already.
Let's escape the tyranny of the mind prison and answer another question. All right, I'm just going to indulge. This one's for me. J. Poirot. Oh, God. Poirot? I'm sorry about your name. At Narrowneck on Twitter.
How do you spell it?
Sorry.
I'll do it.
What, Leon?
How do you spell it? I'll do it.
Poirier.
Poirot.
Okay. Leon said it.
It's also the last name of like a famous he is a celebrity, so that's now how I know how to say it.
All right, you've given away your secrets. Now they're mine.
Boom.
The question is, Austin, do you read the lore and story of Magic the Gathering? If so, who is your favorite character? Yes, I do. I think I've mentioned this before, but in addition to being a strategy card game with like a fully functioning economy it's like the size of some nations, it is a narrative art form which has told a relatively continuous story for 25 years, and I know all of it. All of it. I went you guys know I walk every day. I walk for about 5 miles every day. One day I spent that walk synopsizing, is that a word? Going through in my head the entire story of Magic the Gathering, and I didn't get halfway by the time my walk was over. There's a lot of it, and I know all of it. I would show off by like going through some of it, but literally we don't have time. It would eat up several episodes of this show. So yes is the answer, and I don't know why I'm bragging about this. It's extremely sad. But like some people know like Middle Earth. Like, oh yeah, I read the Silmarillion. That's my thing. I can tell you all of the wizards. I know that. Oh, did you know Gandalf's not a human? Like, yeah, cool. That's me for Magic the Gathering. It's also a lot of it is very poorly written, and a lot of it is extraordinarily well written. You'd be surprised. The actual question was, who is your favorite character? Probably Teferi, who's been recently reintroduced in the Dominaria set. They've literally been with this character for over a decade. Like, you saw him grow up in Urza Saga. He went through a bunch of stuff in Time Spiral, and he like gave up his magic powers to save the world, and then he had a daughter, and now he's back, and he's like grizzled, and he's really cool. I think I've talked about him before. Like, he's one of the only prominent black characters in fantasy fiction. He just owns. And his new card is extraordinarily valuable. I've said extraordinary like 6 times this episode. It's my word this week. I don't know why. But Teferi's very cool. That's who I do. I should do like a separate podcast where I just talk about this stuff so that everyone else can join in our discussions. Let's look for another question. Here's one. Ikarox asks, why hasn't he been impeached yet? Do you want to take this one, Leon? There's a definitive answer.
Because in order to do that, impeachment proceedings have to start in the House. The House is controlled by the Republican Party. It is literally impossible for them to do so. Once this passes the House, he is impeached, but that doesn't really mean anything because then it goes to the Senate where he would be tried, but which is also controlled by the Republican Party. Here's the thing. Even if the Democrats retake the House, which is a distinct possibility, but not a certainty. I'm not 100% sure they would actually try to go through with it because, again, it is very difficult for them to actually do anything to him because they would still almost certainly not have the Senate. Even if the Democrats had both the House and the Senate, I'm still not 100% sure they would go through with it because they would think that he would be easier to defeat come the general election than Mike Pence, who would be the one who replaces him. So I really do not think it's going to happen. I have been super wrong about politics before, so don't take that as gospel. But there you go.
The fire department is staffed entirely by pyromaniacs. Here's a question. Johnny, I don't know if you have any Canadian feelings about this. Benj at Corrupted Record on Twitter wants to know, what do you think about constitutional monarchy and its impact on a country? Context, royal wedding, I think? Laura,
I'm not really a fan of the monarchy. I gotta tell you. I think it's like an outdated concept. I think that, like, generally speaking, the way that people see like the royal family, because obviously they're not the only monarchy in the world, but certainly probably the most visible. Mm-hmm. As being like more celebrity than anything else these days.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to be a princess. I
know.
I think that just I think that just highlights how useless.
Yeah, I was gonna say
is.
My co-host of my other show, Laura Kate, is a British person, and remarked to me recently that British people aren't really patriotic in the way Americans are, except around royal events like births and weddings and so forth. And then they're extraordinarily, that's my word, sorry. They're extraordinarily patriotic in that one context, which, I mean, it's hard to judge, right? Americans are wild out on patriotism 24/7. But it is a little icky from my perspective because monarchy is deeply immoral. It's a bad thing.
Yeah, I think
socially
speaking, we've definitely outlived the usefulness of the monarchy. I can understand how in slightly more primitive times it seemed like maybe the easiest way to maintain a governing body because it just sort of perpetuates itself.
It's
as
clear.
Opposed to,
It's clear, like when you have just a successor and everyone agrees on it. When democracy's messy and you got to protect the integrity of the ballot, and then you get political parties. But if it's just like, oh no, it's Jeff's turn.
Yeah. I understand that, but they've outlived their usefulness as a governing body. There are a few things in this world that I care about less than the royal family, honestly.
Yeah, I try not to be judgmental about it because I don't. It's not my culture or whatever. But it is icky to me. Like, being related to someone has nothing to do with your fitness for public service, for your understanding of laws, for your responsibility. If anything, it actually detracts from your accountability. If you just think, you deserve this, if you were born to it, it's bad. But if you have to have it the way they're doing it, where they're just figureheads who are basically just, trotted out as parade pieces, I guess that's the best possible version of it.
Let me put it this way, all right? is that you may think that the most powerful person in Canada would be the Prime Minister. Mm-hmm. That is not actually the case. The be-all, end-all of Canadian political power ends with an office called the Governor-General. So, like, right now, our Governor-General is named Julie Payette. And the Governor-General is not elected. The Governor-General is chosen by the Queen. And the Governor-General has the authority at any point in time to dissolve Parliament and basically fire all of our politicians. There was a famous dissolution of Parliament in Australia. I'm trying to remember what year it was. I can't remember. But basically, like, the Australian government had just created such a giant clusterfuck that the Governor General stepped in and was like, fuck it, you're all fired. Here it is. 1983. Malcolm Fraser, the Australian Governor General, called a double dissolution. And he just kicked everybody out. It was like, that's it. You're all done. So basically, at any point in time, the democratically elected governorship of Canada is under threat of just being told to take a hike. And now, that hasn't been... I don't think that's been done in Canada. But there's always the threat of it. And all you need is just, like, one person to come into the office and be like, time to shake things up! And that's it. So, like, even Canada, we are constantly under threat of all of that happening. And moreover than that, the Governor General of Canada earns, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. But they don't do anything.
Damn.
Like, basically, they sit in Parliament and go, start!
I'm watching you guys to maybe dissolve your ass.
Yeah, they basically sit around in Parliament and go, okay, ready, set, go.
Yeah.
And then, eat bananas.
The whole monarchy thing, and I realize how shitty this is going to sound before I say it, but I'm already started the sentence, so now it's happening. The whole thing reminds me a lot of religion, where there's a psychological component to it that's comforting to have, like, the one person who represents your country. You're like, that's the big cheese, they're in charge, and, like, I like them, and I'm proud of them, and they represent something to me, but it is, in practice, pretty poisonous, and... if I was in charge, it wouldn't happen. I don't know. That doesn't count for literally anything. But
I am discomfited by it.
Yeah.
By the very idea that is like that's the top tier of power in Canada. It has nothing to do with, like, my decision to elect someone.
Leon, do you have any thoughts? Every time there's a wedding or a baby or something, it becomes part of the news cycle and it skeeves me out. Am I being too harsh?
About a wedding or a baby thing?
About the monarchy being seen as something that people should care about and celebrate.
Look, here's the thing. It's not the media's fault that the monarchy is in power. And if the monarchy is in power, then they kind of have no choice but to cover it. So I'm not, when like I see a news story like, oh, there's a new baby, I'm not like, fuck you, journalist, doing literally your job. My feeling is, we shouldn't care about this before it even became news.
Yeah, I wish there wasn't the demand so that they would stop supplying, I guess. But
yeah, I understand. I don't wish ill of the royal family or anything. I don't have anything personal against any of them. Maybe some of them are like super nice and I don't even know. But as an institution, no, there's really no true reason for it to still exist to this day. Even if they didn't have that power, the governor general kind of power over certain other countries, and they are as ornamental as we think they are, even though they do still hold, that one thing. Even if that's all that they were, it's still kind of a waste of money, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's the nicest thing you could say. Historically, of course, they're the instruments of terrible genocides and colonization beyond measure. But
right. I'm talking about in 2018.
Yeah, exactly. This is the nicest version we've seen.
It is. So yeah, I guess those are my full thoughts.
All right, thank you. I actually am curious about you guys' thoughts on this one. Toshiro Crew, our question guru, wants to know thoughts on Soylent. Have we ever talked about this before? I thought about getting Soylent, and then I didn't.
Yeah, my buddy Jordan has been on it actually. It's salty.
Apparently, yeah.
Thank you.
Apparently, it can cause some kind of nutritional problems, but not for everyone. I don't know, but of course that could be said of food in general.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Soylent is a nutritional supplement. It's basically like a protein shake thing you're supposed to drink instead of taking your meals, and it was
only disruptive.
Yeah, it was made by and for programmers, so they didn't have to think about anything but programming.
Yeah, I have given it like so little of my headspace that I have no real thoughts on it.
Oh, interesting. It seems like something nerds would think about at least a little bit. I know I did. It's like, oh, I resent my corporeal form. So the idea of...
yeah, but also that's a thing that you say. I enjoy having a good meal. I'm about all of this. You can't tell, but I'm motioning towards my body. I don't love my body, like my body specifically, but I'm not interested in becoming pure spirit or anything like
an
that.
Energy jellyfish.
Yeah, that's not fun for me. I like the aesthetic of people, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I like fashion and things like that. So I don't feel quite the same way. In terms of like, would I take a nutritional supplement instead of having a meal? No, I would definitely like to have a meal. Unless the nutritional supplement tasted better than a meal, then I would eat that.
It doesn't.
But that yeah, I know. But that's the whole point. Like, if it did, then that would just be the meal. So no, it's not. It's not super fun for me. If it were helpful in a way that could feed people who are hungry, and if it were like very inexpensive, then that's a cool thing. But apparently it's not.
Yeah, that's like the whole Elon Musk twist thing, where it's like, ooh, cool new technology. Oh, dang it, it's a bunch of capitalists. They're at it again, boys. Right. Yeah. It is the whole like we need to fucking optimize and efficiency, fucking strangulate every single worker to maximize profits. No lunch breaks, just drink your slop.
Yeah, there's a very good joke from one of the later seasons of Mystery Science Theater 3000, where Mike and the robots meet super intelligent beings who are basically just brains in pans, and they feed them pills in place of food. You know, you have a pill instead of food, which you would think would be a time saver, but in reality, the pills are just food. You have to eat as many pills as you would like a bowl of cereal, and that is the gag. But that's kind of what I mean. Like, this Soylent thing might seem like futuristic, but it doesn't actually seem like appealing. Again, haven't tried it. Can't say for sure, but like the fact that it's just the whole gimmick is that it's future food is not appealing to me.
Yeah, I think the gimmick's more of like you don't have to think about food. It's just like you just get.
I love thinking about food. I was thinking about food all on my ride home. I was like, all right, I'm hungry now, so I'm going to have a sandwich, but I'm going to put my chicken and my curry stuff into the slow cooker and wait about 4 hours, and then I will eat that when I'm done podcasting. So I was thinking about that a lot, and I was interested in that thought. and I'm going to be very interested in the food that I'm going to put into my body. If someone says, here's a pill, instead, even if it gave me like way better nutrition, I'd be like, fuck this. This is you're not giving me something. You're taking away a pleasure I have in my life. One of the simple joys that I can have. So that's not fun for me at all.
But Leon, why have simple joy when you can create a new app to disrupt the meme space?
I do like memes. So yeah, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to like completely dunk on this. I'm sure there are in fact benefits to it, but it does not interest me even slightly.
I think we all know where my bread is buttered on this issue.
Oh yes. Johnny, perhaps more than all of us.
There's a longer conversation to be had here about like our weird relationship with food, us being just like humans in general, like eating disorders, both anorexic and the opposite direction. I don't know if there's a word for that necessarily. Just like the way we relate to it along both economic and cultural lines is wild. I've watched a lot of documentary about. I've talked about this before, but like Chef's Table and stuff, like super high-end food where it's basically art, and I love it, but also people are starving, and I feel weird about that, and it's just like food, because it's so fundamental, affects everyone, and everyone has different trauma, and we're all just caught up in it, and so that's, I mean, we could just make a documentary about Soylent probably, but anyway.
Yeah, I want to be clear about something. Like, I feel the same way when I see people saying, oh, look, I'm pouring gold onto all of this other stuff, and I'm going to eat some of it, and then I'm going to throw some of it away. Yeah, I get those feelings,
It's
too.
a sting operation. Roll out the guillotines.
Right. No, I feel you on that. When I say I have interest in food, I mean I'm looking forward to dinner. That's the extent of it for me.
And a lot of people are. Quick question here, Leon, you know the answer, and Diego Van Dane asks, why the return to Kiss from a Rose?
I changed up the song, and then it was time for the 200th episode, and I thought maybe I should change the song again, but a lot of people really liked Kiss from a Rose, and so do I. So I just decided to add the remix, one of them, I'm sure many remixes of that song, and that's the theme for now. And then in a year or wherever, I will change the theme again because, variety, I guess.
All right, so we're about out of time.
That's it.
Oh, Johnny? Were you saying something there?
Nope.
No? Okay. My headphones are weird. We're about out of time here, but on the food question, simple one. Jessica Sims says, what are some of your favorite pies? And then we can go to sleep.
Ooh, pumpkin. That's my favorite.
Really?
Yep, I'm into it.
I wish I had like a more sophisticated answer, but I really just like apple pie.
It's good.
It's very good.
Steak and kidney Guinness.
Oh, God.
Yep. Yeah, it's the most Johnny answer.
I knew he was going to dunk on us. I just didn't see it coming from that direction. I thought he was just going to be like, there's some fruit y'all motherfuckers never heard of.
Nope, sorry. Savory pies are my jam.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for a good episode, everyone. I still need to know what Trump's thinking.
Yeah.
What is he thinking?
What would really suck if I figure it out like right after we
Was there a question
recording.
mark? Did it read like Trump thinking?
No. It just says Trump thinking, or it did, and I've removed it from my list now because like I can't go back to it. I only have 2 more things left. One I can't explore quite right now. And the other one is just to talk about This Is America. I watched it. I didn't like the song. The visuals were the visuals, and I don't really want to get into it because like some of the comedy memes that have come up related to that leaves sort of a bad taste in my mouth, and I shouldn't have to explain why. Just fill in the blanks.
Leon, is there a single rap artist you enjoy?
Yeah, sure. I listen to The Coup.
Okay. I'm squinting at you. You can't see it. I just figured. I just think maybe that's just kind of the person you are.
No, I listened to this and This Is America, and it's like, is this rap? It just feels like kind of like a trap song.
Yeah, there are
Like,
definitely elements of trap. It goes through a couple of different kinds of hip hop specifically, but another conversation probably.
Okie dokie. I'm not the biggest expert, so I'll just that's all I really want to say about that. Some of the memes about it are troubling, and that is literally the only thing else I want to say about it. And I'm done. I'm completely done. Trump thinking. Let's leave.
All right, I'm leaving. Bye.
All right, on
Ready.
3.
I couldn't find any good edgy pictures of Crash Bandicoot. I looked. The fandom is just really wholesome.
So it's like the opposite of the Sonic fandom?
Apparently.
Wow, that's weird. Get on that, everyone. Send all of your erotic Crash Bandicoot art,
please, God,
to @AustinYorsky on Twitter.
Please, God, no, please.
Good morning, Billy Markham. It's time to rise and shine. The devil words come grinding into Billy's burning mind. And he opens up one bloodshot eye to that world of living death. And he feels the devil's bony claw. And he smells the devil's rotten breath. Wake up, sunshine, the devils laugh. I'm giving you another turn. I'm turning now, Billy Markham growls. Go away and let me burn. But you're gambling, Billy Markham, says the devil, and you wouldn't let a chance go past. Another chance to roll 13, says Billy. Hey, shove it up your ass. I've rolled your dice. I've rolled them twice. Now I hear my loved ones cry. And before I play that game again, I'll stay here in hell and fry. You sure are a grouch when you wake up, says the devil, but don't take it out on me. In the misty words of Heaven and Bill, everything's done in 3. Well, you can take 3 kisses of my burning bum, says Billy, laying back and closing his eyes. And I'll piss on your shoe if ever you come near me again with them fly shit dice. Dice, dice, says the devil. Who said dice? Anyone hear me say dice? Hey, imp, pour my buddy here a cool glass of water and throw in a nice big chunk of ice. And since when, says Billy, raising up, do you go round handing gifts? Except pokes from your burning pitchfork, or mouthfuls of boiling shit. Well, it's Christmas, says the devil, and all us down here below. We sort of celebrate in our own sweet way, and this year you're the star of the show. Why, just last night I was up on Earth, and I seen that lover's moon. And I say to myself, hey, I bet old Billy could use a little bit of poon. Poon, says Billy Markham. Last thing I need is poon. Talking about getting my ashes hauled. Hell, I'll be all ashes soon. Damn, damn, the devil screams. He's been too long on the fires. I told you, imps, to fry him slow. Now you've gone and burned out his desire. You gotta leave him some hope. Leave him some dreams so he knows what hell's for. 'Cause when a man forgets how sweet love is, well, hell ain't hell no more. So just to refresh your memory, Billy, we're gonna send you back to Earth. And I'll throw in a little Christmas blessing to remind you what life is worth. For exactly 13 hours, you can screw who you want to screw. And there ain't no creature on God's green earth who's gonna say no to you. While me and these burning souls and all my imps and fiends We're gonna sit down here and watch you on that big 24-inch color screen. And we'll see each hump you're humping, and we'll hear each grunt you groan, and we'll laugh at the look upon your face when it's time to come back home. Well, you're much too kind, Billy Markham says, and you treat me much too well. You're gonna give me something just to take it back. You sure know how to run a hell. Well, a game is a game, Billy Markham says, risking off his bed of coals. But what if one won't ball me? What if one I want says no? No, says the devil. What if one says no? Ain't nobody gonna say no. Nobody quits or calls in sick when the devil calls the show. Not man nor woman nor beast, screams the devil. And no layers or maybes or buts. And before any one soul says no to you, I'll see these hell gates rust. But if anyone refuses you, I say anyone you name, then you'll be free to stay on Earth. Now get out and play the game. Then a flash of light and a thunderclap, and Billy's back on Earth once more. And the asphalt sings beneath his feet as he weaves toward Music Row. First he stops at the exit inn to seduce the blonde on the door. Then the RCA receptionist he takes on the office floor. He nails the waitress down at Max, the one with the pear-shaped breasts, and the 4 girls from BMI right on Francis Preston's desk. He screws his way from MCA to Vanderbilt's Ivy Walls, and he pokes everything that giggles or sings or whimpers or wiggles or crawls. First Debbie, then Polly, then Dottie, then Dolly, then Jeannie and Jessie and Jan. Then Marshall and Sal, that red-headed gal who takes the tickets to Opryland. Then Hazel and Carla and the ex-wife of Harlan, that's then Melva and Marge and Marie. And 3 fat gospel singers who all came together in perfect 3-part harmony. And Brenda and Sammy and Sharon and Sandy, Loretta and Buffy and May. And Terry and Lynn at the Holiday Inn, and Captain Midnight's fiancée. Then Sherry and Rita, Diane and Anita, Olivia, Emmy, and Jean. And Donna and Kay down at Elliston Place, right there in the Pinto Beans. He crashes in Studio B, where he humps both Janet and June, on John Gibble's fiddle, right in the middle of a Porter Wagner tune. From Connie to Bonnie to Carolyn to Tracy to Stacy to Joe, he gives them a glance, and they drop their pants, and nobody dares say no. He's humping the queen of country music when he hears the devil moan. Make it sweet, Billy Markham, but make it short. You've just got 30 seconds to go. And all of us here were applauding your show, and we'd say you've done right well. And we just can't wait to hear you moan when you're fluckless forever in hell. Hold on, says Billy, with one last thrust. I got 30 seconds more. Then I got the right to one last hump before it's time to go. Well, make your choice, the devil says, and you better be quick and strong, and make it a come to remember, Bill. It's gotta last you eternity long. So who will it be, Billy Markham? They scream. Who's gonna be the one? Starlet or harlot or housewife or hippie or grandma or schoolgirl or none? Or fresh-scented virgin or dope-smoking groupie or sweet ever-smiling stew? And Billy Markham, he stops, and he squints at the devil and says, Sucker, I'll take you. Foul! Cries the devil. Foul! No fair! The rules don't hold for me! You said man or woman or beast, says Bill, and I guess you're all 3. And a roar goes up from the demons of hell, and it shakes the earth across. And the imps all squeal and the demons scream, "He's gonna fuck the boss!" "Why, you filthy scum," the devil snarls, blushing a fiery red. "I give you a chance to live again, and you bust me in front of my friends. Hey, play or pay," Billy Markham says, "so set me free at last. Or raise your tail and hear all hell wail when I bugger your devilish ass." "You got me," spits the devil. "Go on and stay your precious earth, and plod along and plug your songs, but carry this lifelong curse. You shall lust for 1,000,000 women, and not one's gonna come your way. And you shall write 10,000,000 songs, and not one's ever gonna get played. And your mama and daughter and your own true love, they gonna stay down here with me. And you'll carry the guilt like a movable hell, wherever the hell you'll be." "Ah, well," says Billy Markham, "they were never mine to lose. No family, no pussy, and no records. Hell, I'm used to them kind of dues." So back on the streets goes Billy again, eating them line bob beans, picking his songs while nobody listens, and telling a story that no one believes. And he gets no women, and he gets no heads, but he says just what he thinks. Hey, buy him around, it won't cost much. Ice water's all that he drinks. But notice the burns upon his wrist as he raises his trembling glass, while he tells how the devil once burned his soul while he singed the devil's ass.